see me? Oh no, I don't think I hope you guys can see me. But anyways, does anyone else open their like Kindle app and they just get scared? Like they just get scarred actually every time they open the app because you find things you never thought would ever be out there and you're like, wow. But you know, it keeps you on your toes. Hi guys, today I'm going to be talking about my February TBR. I'm like actively trying to find books I want to read on my Kindle for February and I have yet to do that. But I have my physical books, so we're going to start there. So in this book, our main character is trying to compete in a competition that happens every 6 years, and he's doing that to gain access to a scroll. I'm trying to make sure I'm saying this right. To entrust the magical scroll of Earth to a new protector. That is kind of what happens for the winner of this competition that happens every 6 years, but our main character is trying to enroll in this competition, but his father is not going to let him, so he has to do it secretly, and I'm excited to see what's going on in this book. So in Other Lands, from my understanding, is one of like another classic-y setting book. So it follows a 13-year-old boy named Elliot who goes on a school field trip and he sees, I think he sees something from a different world that no one else can see, and then he gets the opportunity to enroll in this school that has a lot of dangerous classes and there are elves. That is what I kept seeing. And mermaids. So honestly, to me this sounds like a different variety of Percy Jackson, but I love books that are like that and I'm excited to read this one. So yeah. So the next book that I have on my TBR is The Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare. So I'm 19 right now and I feel like I have to finish the series before I turn 20 because I feel like it's like just part of every teenager's life that they read the Cassandra Clare books. I read the Last Hour series before I'm reading this series, so I've kind of like read a lot of her books outside of the timeline that they're meant to be read in, and I started reading the Last Hour series when I was a freshman in high school. So I think I was like 16 or 15, but I completely fell in love with that series. I love it. I'm obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with Cordelia. This is like the OG. Like this is like one of the OG series of just YA, of like the creation of YA and like what you read when you're 13 and like your first heartbreak and all these things. Obviously I'm a little bit older than that, but I'm determined to read these in my last year of being a teenager. But honestly I'm still loving this series just as much as the Last Hour series. I'm gonna give spoilers, but if you've already read this series, you know that in the Last Hour series a couple of the characters become parents, so it's really interesting to see them like in their teenage years, and it's kind of like just their origin story of how like they become the people who they are, and I really love those characters in the Last Hour series as they are as parents. But yeah, so I'm reading this one, The Infernal Devices. Book 2. I don't know who I like better, if I'm being honest. I don't know if I like Will or Jem better. I think right now, like I feel like I don't want to say because the thing is I love Will in the Last Hour series. Like I genuinely, like I love him as a dad. I love it. I love the interactions that he has with James and everything. But Jem in this series is probably, I think I like him better. I think I like him better, and maybe that's gonna change. I don't know. I've only read the first book and now we're reading the second book, so we'll see. We'll see. So the next book that I have on my TBR is The Royal Assassin. So I've already started to read this book even though we are in January, and that's because for this particular series, like the Robin Hobb series, this is the Farseer trilogy, but how I'm reading it is I'm reading a chapter a day. So in order for me to finish this book by the end of February, I had to start it a little bit earlier. This is the second book in the Farseer trilogy and it follows a character called Fitz, and this is like the definition of something that's really traditional. Like I feel like in many ways a fantasy story could not be more traditional than this series, but The way that Robin Hobb writes is incredible. What puts you apart is just being able to write something differently and like putting your own spin on it, and you're like able to say like that author wrote that. And definitely a slow burn series, not in romance sense by the way, like just like the plot in general. Like it's definitely a series that like you open and like you're just there to like immerse yourself in the series, and particularly in the characters and the life of Fitz, and you're just following his life journey, and that's really the beauty of the series. And then there are some really good plot points in here as well, but they're kind of like, I feel like little candy pieces that like you kind of just have to like go along with the ride, and you're on a boat and you're just there for the view, and you're enjoying the view. And then every now and then you get like these little bits and pieces throughout the plot that are kind of slow, and then everything kind of just like happens, but it happens in a way that's really well done, and a couple of times I've gasped. So I really like the series, and I'm excited to read it. Okay, so I think the Kindle read I'm gonna have for this month is Animal Farm. Hello. Okay, so I'm just inserting myself really quickly because I didn't want to talk about Animal Farm with my head cropped off. But basically I was just saying that I was going to read Animal Farm on my Kindle this month because of the parallels of what's happening kind of in America right now. And I read it in middle school, like most people do in middle school or high school, but I really feel like it is a good idea to reread that as a freshman in college. I wanted to have like a really fun fantasy read as well that's kind of more lighthearted, so I'm gonna see if I can find one and I will be back. So for my understanding, this is an enemies to lovers type of thing, and we kind of have like this whole competition thing going with a character that is one of the greatest dancers, one of the greatest dancers, or like the greatest at whatever they do, and then another person comes in. And I really like stories that are like that. I think the dynamic is really interesting to kind of dissect in those stories, kind of like Vicious, which is random, but like Vicious, like V.E. Schwab. Those are all of my February TBR reads that I'm hoping to get to next month, and thank you so much, and bye!